Okay, viewers, so me and Wanda here have one more episode to review before we shut the door on the first season of WandaVision. Now, I'm going to break this video up a bit here into 3 sections. The first one, I'll talk a bit about the final episode itself, right, the finale. Secondly, I'll talk a little bit about my overall feelings of the series. And then finally, I'm going to talk a little bit about the post-credit scene and what might be an unpopular opinion about where this should go. Now, I'm going to issue a strong spoiler alert here, okay? I'm going to talk about specific things that happen in the finale and reference that throughout. So, if you want the episode to stay unspoiled for you, go ahead and watch the episode and then come back to this video later on for the discussion. Now, overall, I thought this episode was phenomenal, and quite honestly, it absolutely lived up to the hype. And that's no easy feat, because the hype was like way up here. But I wouldn't say that it exceeded my expectations, and that probably sounds a lot more negative than I mean it to be. The expectations were, I think, so high for every episode, and I think every episode pretty much exceeded expectations. So something like this where you're only phenomenal almost seems like a bit of a failure, which is quite unfair to the episode itself. So take what I'm saying here with a little bit of a grain of salt. First and foremost, I need to give Elizabeth Olsen here a tremendous amount of credit. She not only stayed in character throughout the whole episode and played it quite well, but she put in quite a wonderful performance at the very end when she had to say goodbye to everybody. I thought it was moving, I thought it was heartfelt, and it seemed very genuine to the character. I also want to talk about my favorite scene here, which was when she was walking through the people of Westview, and this is after everything had ended, and she's got her hoodie on and everything. Something she does here that I would not have expected Olsen to be able to pull off before all of this started was her facial expression is a wonderful mixture of not just embarrassment or shame or sadness, but there's a bit of anger there as well that is wonderful to behold, quite honestly, and gives just a beautiful depth to what the character went through this whole time. Now, I think we all knew that Wanda was probably going to have to go away at the end of this and learn how to deal with her powers as Scarlet Witch. I also think we pretty much all knew that the twins were probably not going to survive this necessarily because the Hex had to go away. What I was surprised by is what happened to Vision at the end of all of this. Now, throughout this entire watch companion, we focused a lot of our attention on Vision, so I see no reason to really change that now. Let's get back to Vision here for a second. I absolutely loved the scene where the White Vision and the Red Vision are together and they're trying to figure out essentially what they're doing this for. Why are they at odds with each other? And the White Vision, of course, says, I'm sent here to kill Vision. And they get into a discussion about identity. And they use the paradox of Theseus, or Theseus's ship, right, paradox here, to try to get at the core of who or what is the real Vision. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Theseus's ship or Theseus's paradox, it goes way back to ancient Greece and Plutarch, but it also extends itself into Thomas Hobbes, right? Hobbesian philosophy as well, which I'll talk about that in a second. The crux of the Theseus ship paradox is picture a ship, right? And picture half of the floorboards are rotting away. If you remove half of those floorboards, right, the boards that are rotting, and replace it with new boards, with new wood that, let's say, even wasn't part of the same tree, the identity question has to do with, if you change something or alter it, can you say that it's still the same? Does it still retain its original identity? Now, they don't just stop there, though. They add the Hobbesian element of the philosophy that says this, essentially. Those floorboards, those rotten ones that we took out of the ship, what happens if we create a new ship out of those boards? Now you have the first ship with the replaced boards, and then you have a second ship that's made out of the boards that were rotting, that were replaced. So which of the two can lay claim to being the original ship? And this is how they approach the topic of which is the real Vision. And it was absolutely wonderful to watch, quite honestly. To bring that level of philosophy to this was particularly entertaining to me because, one, I love Greek philosophy. Two, I also love Vision's particular bent toward philosophy as well, which I've mentioned in the Watch Companion before. Now, I'd be lying if I said I didn't want Vision to come out of this whole series just kind of ready to go for the next MCU phase to just jump right into the movies. That's obviously not going to happen. But I do think that there are enough breadcrumbs here that we can certainly expect Vision to make an appearance again at some point, and that makes me happy because I love me some Vision. So my final thoughts on this episode was, great, you did a great job. I was thoroughly entertained. If I had to nitpick anything, it would probably have to do with Agatha here. The lead up from episode 8 was so much that I really thought, oh, we're going to get to see Agatha's true power here and what she can potentially do to Wanda. But I never really felt the weight of Agatha's power in this final episode. I think they could have given us just a little more taste here of what Agatha could do to Wanda before you brought it all down, right? Like, I'm totally fine with the way it ended with Agatha. Totally fine with that. I just wanted to see a little more danger, a little more power out of Agatha before it went the way that it did with the runes. And that takes me to the overall thoughts of the series. I mean, come on. I think many of us came into this wanting to love it, right? Like, we were almost afraid, like, oh, please just let us love this thing. Between the pandemic and just enjoying the way that the relationship between Vision and Wanda had evolved from the MCU films, I think we just wanted to get something that could continue that legacy and keep us entertained. And I don't think I'm alone in saying, between the writing, the producing, the acting, I mean, it far exceeded what I thought it even could be. And for that, I almost feel like I owe Marvel a thank you. They did a wonderful job on this, and the actors and the producers and writers, kudos to all of you. You did a fantastic job here. Now, I'm sure my wife wasn't the only one who maybe thought it was a little bit too tragic at the end, but for me, I like a good tragic story thrown in every so often because it creates a much larger or more dramatic depth from which to climb out of. So when Vision and Wanda come back out into the Marvel, universe here, that entrance is going to be more impactful, more glorious because of the depths in which they came. So if I had to nitpick anything, I would probably say I think they could have done more with the twins here. And they built them up quite a bit from episodes like 6 through 8, and then never really did much with them. And it could be because they're holding off on giving them a much larger role later on in something, but if that's the case, I'm not sure I would have gone that route. Plus, there was kind of this awkward feeling like, and I'm sure I'm not alone in this, that it was clearly like Billy was the more important child here, right? I found myself by like episode 7 and then 8 and then 9 just feeling a little sorry for Tommy. It's like, yeah, you're not really exciting, you're just fast. Who cares? My final nitpick would be Hayward. I thought there might have been something more complex there, or at least he could have a better rationale for why he's doing what he's doing. They teased it a little bit, I think, his rationale, but I don't think they ever really delivered on it. So by the time he's just taking shots at the twins, you're kind of just like, oh, you're just a jerk. That's it. Now, on the positive side, though, I loved the introduction of Monica in this. I'm all in on what is going to happen after, what we see in the theater scene, the post-credit theater scene here. I'm all in. I'm curious to see what they do with Monica and just how powerful she really is in this cinematic universe, right? I'm curious here. And finally, can I make a push for a new miniseries? I want to call it Woo's Warriors. It's Jimmy Woo leading a ragtag group of not even the Marvel B team. Give him the L team and just let his dry, unique humor lead this group of Marvel losers and have them become this really interesting group that can come into a big movie later on and give us a bit of a laughing presence, because I really enjoyed the Jimmy Woo character and I thought the comedic timing of it was quite good. So I'm all in for Woo's Warriors. Now, all the love that I'm thrusting upon Marvel here and WandaVision, I'm probably going to sound a bit odd in what I'm about to say. Please, don't make another season of this. Sometimes you just have to enjoy when something works out so beautifully that it's not going to happen again, and it doesn't have to happen again, right? I don't think I'm alone in saying that I could probably binge watch this again. Within the next couple of months, I could probably binge watch it again. It was that good. But you could taint it a little bit if you try to just push out a season 2 with a weak storyline, like Hayward comes back and he's half man, half beast, half android. I think there's too many halves there. If you try to just clumsily push a storyline out there, you really could take away a bit from the product, a bit from what you built that ended up being such a beautiful thing that was this season of WandaVision. I think you need to listen to your own character here, Marvel, and remember that a thing isn't beautiful because it lasts. Now, I'll be starting a watch companion series for Falcon and the Winter Soldier as well, so be on the lookout for my pre-watch video where I'll talk a bit about the characters, where I think the series might go, and my suspicions on who is going to end up with Captain America's shield by the end of all of this. So, if you're interested in coming along for the ride on that watch companion as well, I'll be more than happy to have you. And let me know what you think of either the final episode here of WandaVision or the entire series. What did you like about it? What were some of your concerns or things that you might have done a little bit differently? I love to hear your thoughts in the comments. So load it up. Let me know, okay? All right. Have a great day. Wanda and I will see you again soon.